Need the microphone, Gary?
Well, I'm not very well, so I'll ask this question very quickly of the Conservative candidate. In 2019, I asked Mr Halfman about his government's view on having fewer police officers, fewer prison officers, and fewer probation officers in the England and Wales criminal justice system. That created a backlog of 32,000 cases in the courts. He said that as a result, an open left in the Treasury in 2010. Now we have even fewer police officers, prison officers, and probation officers in the England and Wales criminal justice system, with now a 66,000 case backlog in the courts. As a Conservative candidate, are you proud of this achievement? If not, why not?
Okay, Hannah. Courts backlog, cases 25, 26, solve rates 2%, 4%, criminal justice system. Sorted out.
Thank you, I'll try. I'm afraid I'm going to have to dispute some of your facts and figures there. I don't have the numbers for the number of probation officers that are currently in the system, but both in Harlow and in Essex, we have more police officers than we have ever had. In Harlow, we have 30 more police officers this year, and in both forces, that's more than we've ever had. So I can't agree with you that there have been cuts to that. I know that there's more work to do on crime. There's been a lot of investment into a hotspot policing and pilots going on in Harlow that's been tackling antisocial behaviour and serious crime in the town centre, and antisocial behaviours dropped by 30%. I know that if you're a victim of crime, it might not feel like that to you personally, but those are what the stats from Harlow and Essex Police are showing us. So I know there's more work to do. I know particularly I would agree with you on the courts backlog. A lot of that was not sitting during COVID, and a lot of it was done online, and there is catching up to do, and I know that that's a problem for our police forces, but I dispute your initial figures, I'm afraid.
Opening up the criminal justice system, about crime, how people feel safe in Harlow. Just generally open discussion there.
Thank you. And thank you for your question, Gary. I spend pretty much every week, every day, knocking on doors, listening to residents in Harlow and the villages. And it's the number one concern that comes up to me is a lack of visible policing and an increase in crime. This nonsense about the Tories have got record numbers of policing, right? That's taken 14 years to get back to the levels of policing we had in Harlow in 2010. With a larger population, and we've had 14 years of not enough police in communities, on the streets, working with residents, doing that intelligence work, understanding their communities. So there's no wonder that people like Gary and people in Harlow feel badly let down. We do need to get police back on the streets and in our communities. I would also add, on this figure of record police numbers, there are 400 less police staff in Essex than there were 14 years ago. So many of those police are being asked to do staffing roles rather than actually be on the streets and in communities. Labour will prioritise community policing, get police back on the streets and in our communities, working with residents and community groups. But it's more than that. And I will use an old New Labour slogan: it's a case of being tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime. And much like the issue of health, we need to actually get to the root causes of crime as well, which is why Labour are going to introduce a Young Futures project to get youth workers in schools, in hospitals, and working in the community as well. We need to tackle the issue of crime. A statistic was brought up to us yesterday when we did a hustings at Harlow College of the huge increase of knife crime. And I know Yasmin knows Mel very well as well, but you only have to spend 5 minutes with Mel Hopwood to feel absolutely crushed by the failures of our current system to tackle the issue of knife crime. Labour have pledged to halve knife crime in the next decade. I'd like to see us go further. We will ban the sale of machetes, all these horrible ninja knives that people are using, but we will also be tough on the causes of crime as well, which is where our Respect Order comes in. But first and foremost, we need to deal with this root cause. We need to get into schools and actually educate young people about the dangers of being involved in criminal activity. But if anyone tells you that you feel safer after 14 years of Conservative government, they're kidding you, and you all know that. Thank you.
bit about this actually when we had the local elections hustings. I'm very pleased that I don't have a leader of my party who helped a previous leader bring in early release, because I tell you what, if there's nothing that's going to stop criminals, it's the thought that they actually can get out on the streets by an early release. I'm sorry, criminal justice, if you get a term of 10 years, you serve 10 years. That's it. The next issue is the fact that we need police on the streets. We had years where police used to be out on the streets preventing crime. They haven't been. They've been stuck in offices filling in forms and doing anything but. We need them out on the streets, we need them visible, and we need them preventing crime. And the big issue we have in Essex on that front is, as I said, in the local elections. We have a problem with police coming and starting their training in Essex, doing their training in Essex for 2-3 years, and then when they've done their training, they go and join the Metropolitan Police because they can get a larger wage. And frankly, if you can get a larger wage for your job, who can blame them? So what we actually need to do is do something about the fact that in the home counties, we need some kind of home counties weighting so we can maintain police officers. Thank you.
So, the Green Party would invest £11 billion in restoring the Ministry of Justice, restoring the budget. What's really important is we would restore legal aid. Because that's where so many people are not really true representation. We would make sure that local authorities are properly funded to deliver youth services, including the youth workers who play a role in keeping young people safe. And safeguarding is a priority in encounters between the young people and the police. We know that there's distrust there. We would also make sure that children and young people are never strip searched without an appropriate adult present. And we want youth workers, rather than police officers, to work with the pupils in schools. Now, we've heard about the police, and we've heard about the pressure they're under, we've heard that we've got so many more police, but we don't see them. And you can vouch, I was with you at this Stowe, and we reported a crime being committed in front of us, and I waited 20 minutes until that call was answered. I think we need to actually improve that, and I think we can only do that if you put more resources in. It's no good playing with numbers. They may have brought in so many, but also a lot of police officers have left.
When was the last time you saw a few police officers on the street, on your high street, on your Andrew Street? This is a notion that we've got 20,000 new police officers, they keep saying the Conservatives, but actually that's only true if you realise that previously, 4 or 5 years ago, the 20,000 police officers left because of the cuts by the Conservative government. So that's really important just to keep bear that in mind, right? So we've said we're going to try and replace that and restore community police, trusted local people who can be visible as well, make sure that they're there. We've also said that all burglaries will have a statutory guarantee that they will be attended to by the local police officers. People are fearful of these things, and we need to make sure that they're not, because they see the police officers, they know they will come back, not wait 20 minutes, and make sure that that's there. Look, in terms of the criminal justice system, there is a backlog, we know this, but we're going to invest in it. We can't just leave it to chance that it will somehow get lower and lower and lower. We've also said that the police and crime commissions, we're going to scrap that. It's become so politicized unnecessarily. We'll replace that with a board of local people and people who actually understand the criminal justice system. And in terms of reoffending, because I think one of the things is people do reoffend. So we're going to put more effort into making sure from when they leave prison and before that, to make sure reoffending rate is lower. Because at the moment it's just too high. And look, on addressing the issue about knife crime, we're going to take a preventative approach to this, a public health approach, if you like. and work with teachers, local authorities, local experts, and yes, care workers, students themselves, and people who are involved in this process, in this ecosystem, and work out what do we do about knife crime. Where is the cause of knife crime? Yes, it's gangs, and yes, it's drugs, but how do we stop that? There's no point having police officers on the street if there's local crime going on. We need to understand the root causes of that crime and try and tackle it for preventive measure. Thanks.
Okay, Gary? What was that, Gary? Yeah, just a quick one, then we're going to move on to housing.
Actually had a Conservative candidate can actually claim that she changes my figures and she hasn't got them in front of her. So I expect she goes back to the drawing board and actually looks at the facts. We have no police officers in Wall Street that actually come and serve the community. We need community police officers out on the streets, similar to the neighbourhood policing that we had all those years ago. Until that comes back, people in my area will feel unsafe. And we are an elderly and retired area in Potter Street, and we need that to change. And hopefully, whoever gets in to become our MP, they will actually address that as soon as possible.
Thank you, Gary.